Hey guys, I know we would all love to have a personal chef in the kitchen. Well, today you have one. I'm here with my friend, Chef Patrick, and he is going to show us some great kitchen tips and tricks that will make your time in the kitchen so much easier.
All right, hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about how to cook that perfect steak. All right, a lot of people sit there and go, how come whenever I go out to eat, that steak has that beautiful color going all the way through, but whenever I cook it at home, it's kind of lopsided and I don't get it quite right. We're going to show you what restaurants do. So we're going to give you a couple little secrets that they have. First off, I really love using cast iron pans. These cast iron pans, you really hold their heat very well, and it gives a nice solid sear on that meat. You might be able to see on your screens there that this is giving off a little bit of smoke, so I know my pan is super hot at this point. So I'm just going to take just a little bit of oil on there, not much, all right, because I don't want to really burn any oil on there. I don't want to smoke it around, but I want to just give myself a little bit of oils for that steak and sizzle on there. Once I get that hot, if you notice that oil heats up just that quickly, I'm going to take my meat and I'm going to lay it down there, and I want to hear that nice sizzle. All right, I like to call that my applause of doing a good job. So if you don't hear that, your pan's not hot enough, pull it back off. Otherwise, it's going to end up sticking to this pan and you're going to end up being very frustrated. So here we go. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to give that chance to really sit on there and sear the outside. All right, searing, what we're doing by searing that is, first off, we're giving it that beautiful color that we're looking for in that steak. Okay, you can sear this in a pan inside your house, whether it's a cast iron pan, a grill pan, even a saute pan if you like, or you can sear it on your grill outside. So you can go outside and do the same kind of technique. All right, well, we're obviously doing this inside, but I want to get that nice color on there. It's also going to help to start locking some of those juices. All right, if I put this in a pan and I was more kind of steaming it, I'm pulling moisture away from it as opposed to locking it in. So I have this nice thing here, and I'm going to let this sear on here for a couple minutes. One of the nice things you want to make sure you do is when I go to lift this up, if it's sticking on there, it's not ready to release. Your meat will tell you when it's ready to flip over. So if I go to pull this, which this is coming off beautifully nice, but it's a little bit sticking there, so I'm going to let it stay just a little bit. But if it's resisting on me, let it be. Let it get that nice color, let it get that caramelization going there. And I'm just really going to do this for about maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes aside, just to really get that nice color on there. So this is probably ready to go for me there. So we can flip this over now and do the same thing on the other side. Again, I'm going to get that coloration there. What I'm going to do after that is that I'm going to take this and I'm going to finish it in the oven. And that's where the restaurants are getting you, right? That's why the restaurants are getting that beautiful color going all the way through. Because now I have an equal balance the entire time I'm cooking this. So I'm going to get this nice coloration going here. I'm going to throw it in the oven. Now you're going to say, how long am I going to put it in the oven for? Well, that's going to depend on how well you like your meat cooked. If you're one of those people that likes it rare, throw it in the oven 4 or 5 minutes. All right, if you want it medium rare, you're going to be more around that, 7, 8, 8 to 10 minutes. You want it well done, you can leave it in there, go take a shower, do what you got to do, come back later on, it'll be well done for you. But it really depends on what you want. The best way to really know when your meat is done is with a thermometer. All right, you can go online, you can find all the charts you need to tell you exactly what temperature everything is. But I promise you, 125 is 125 no matter where you live in this world. Okay? Don't cook it to 125, but I'm just threw that number out there as they say. Okay? What you want to do when you're looking at whole cuts of meat, it is recommended that any whole cuts of meat gets cooked to 145 degrees. All right, that is the recommended internal cooking temperature for that meat. So now I have this done. I'm going to pull this off. Right into my oven it goes. And I'm going to let that finish off in my oven for a few minutes there. Now, when you saw me put that oil on in the beginning, people ask me, what oil should I use in my pans? It's really going to depend on what you're using it for. The higher temperature you're going to cook at and the longer you're going to cook at, you want an oil that has a higher smoke point. What a smoke point is, that is the temperature that oil or fats are going to start to burn and smoke. So to give you a quick example, butter. Butter smokes out at about 300 degrees. So that's why when you put that butter in your pan and it starts to cook for a while and it turns black and burns up on you, it's because it can't hold up to that heat. Even if you clarify it, if you clarify the butter, it does raise the temperature, but we'll get to that in a minute. Olive oil smokes out at about 325 to 350. All right, somewhere in that range. So if I'm doing something and I'm sauteing something on a pan for an extended period of time, that extra virgin olive oil is going to smoke up and it's going to give my food that kind of burnt flavor to it. When you're looking at things like avocado oil, grapeseed oil, corn oil, those kind of oils have a much higher smoke point. Some of those are up to as high as 400 degrees. So depending on what you want to use it for, depends on what oil you want to use. I typically say your extra virgin olive oil, they're really good for marinades, they're good for salad dressings, they're good if I'm going to roast meats, and I want to rub it on there kind of thing, but not so good if you're going to saute it in a pan. Okay? You might also see recipes that it says combine butter and oil together. And people are like, oh, that helps raise the smoke point, so it's okay. It doesn't raise the smoke point. That butter is still going to be a 300-degree smoke point. All you're really doing is that's going to help infuse butter flavor into that oil. Right? Not saying it's a bad thing, it's just don't think that that's going to change the smoke point of what your oil is. So we're allowing that to come out. Once we bring that steak out of the oven, we're going to let it rest for a little bit. The importance of letting that meat rest isn't because, people like to think of many different things, but really the main important key is you're allowing that meat to sit, the juices to settle, so that when you slice the meat, it doesn't run all over the place. You want to let your meat rest for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Okay? People are like, I don't want my meat to get cold. When I take it out of the oven, it doesn't stop cooking as soon as I take it out of the oven. It's still cooking for another 3 minutes. All right? So as a result, it's not going to get cold for me letting it sit there and rest. What would happen if I start to slice it right away is all the juices are going to run out and then it will start to get cold very quickly. So please let your meat rest. You're going to end up with a much better finished product by the time you're done. We're good again here. So the last thing those restaurants do, all right, you get that steak that comes out to your table. It looks like it has that nice, beautiful, glossy shine on it. Couple pieces of butter. And what you do is they let that butter melt down onto that steak. All right, give it that nice heat. All right, sometimes we'll throw it back in the oven real quick just to get it nice and melted. All right, a lot of places too will make what's called a compound butter, which is really nothing more than taking different herbs or garlic or whatever they want to do, infusing it into that butter. They put it on there so you get that nice flavor as well as the fattiness to it. The reason they do this in restaurants is because now you get that creamy fattiness that circulates in your mouth and it helps transport the flavor all around your mouth. So you're really getting a true flavor of that meat as opposed to, more just getting either the rub or just the meat itself. You're really getting a full experience while you're eating that. So as you see, that's kind of melted on there really nice. As we said, we want to let that rest. Remember, 3 to 5 minutes resting time to allow that to do that. You can still hear that sizzling. It's not cooling down while it's doing that, which is perfectly fine, just what we're looking for. So as you get the nice butter melted on there, so it kind of makes its own little sauce on there as well. And if you're in a restaurant, by the time this gets out to your table, it's rested the perfect amount of time. You cut into it, and everyone says, wow, this is a great steak. So I hope these tips have helped you a little bit, so maybe you can make those perfect steaks at home. We'd love to cut into this a little bit. So we get that nice look as we cut into that steak, so you can see the beautiful color. Stays nice and evenly going through there. So you don't end up with one side more well done than the other.
Thanks, Chef. You can get more kitchen tips from Chef Patrick right here on my YouTube channel. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss a single thing. And be sure to check out more of my favorite easy recipes and quick tips. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.